Nerd Soul.
Man, I'm mad that I missed the Spider-Verse discussion with you. I really am.
Look, I'm always cool to talk Spider Verse. So I mean, we can always talk that. Like I've done like 3 Spider Verse videos, but I'm down to do it. Like I don't care. Like I that movie is just too awesome. Like I mean, it. Like I said, with like Jason said, I know they're talking about doing a live action one, but it's like we're good. We're fine. We already have. We don't need a live action one. We're fine where we are. Like it's just keep this going. Like I'd
Hey
honestly
man.
be, if I was Sony, after seeing just the test footage before the final edit, I'd be like, okay, let's lock these writers and directors down right now. Let's churn out at least 3 more. So when y'all, because of course this movie's gonna come out, y'all gonna get big, and y'all gonna go off and do other things, and it'll be like Atlanta season 2 or whatever, where like it'll be like forever before it happens. So like, look, let's lock y'all in. Once I saw like the first maybe cut of the first 20 minutes or whatever, be like, all right, cool. Look, let's lock these people in. Let's get them to do, or at least write the next, say, 3 stories.
Okay.
So we let's lock it in because we never know if we're gonna have this creative juice again. So let's do this now. So we can go in and get this stuff done because this is it's incredible. I was worried about the second movie, but now I'm like, look, these guys, they know what they're doing. Like they look, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was one of your boys or the panel that FD Signifier did,
Hmm.
but it was very much the I know FD Signifier said if they like he's concerned because they can still fuck it up. They can still mess it up from here.
Well, I
And
mean,
so
that's with any
he's concerned.
property. I mean, that's
But
with any property. So I mean,
somebody said if they don't mess up the third one, then they got the best Spider-Man trilogy.
yeah, easy.
And I'm like, yeah.
I said,
hate
I
to say
said
it.
that. I said, I think this was one with Blurdish, but I was like, not only the best Spider-Man trilogy, they may have one of the best trilogies. Period. Like,
Yeah, I'm. I don't know if I can put it on the same level as the original Star Wars, or The Godfather, or um, well, most of the other trilogies I can think of ended up getting like 1,000 sequels. Um, but what I will say is of the superhero franchises, yeah, this one is the best so far. It is definitely the
I'll
best
be honest. As
franchise so
someone who
far.
loves Star Wars, I'd easily put if the next one is better than this one, just like this was better than the first one, I'll easily put this up against the original trilogy. Easily.
Um,
I'll easily because I'm also one of those people. Animation is a medium, not a genre. So I don't
yes.
care how the story is told. I'm like, this, especially for telling an intricate multiverse story. In these 2 movies, they've done better than the whole Phase 4 of Marvel. And
That I
got
will
love,
agree.
I got love for Marvel, but for this to be the multiverse saga, Phase 4 did outside of what 2 movies? No, sorry, 2 movies in a show because you had the Spider-Man movie, you
Mhm.
had Multiverse of Madness, and you had Loki. Outside of that, you didn't really
Ant-Man.
do.
Well,
Hmm?
Ant-Man was technically the end of Phase 4, but
I thought
because
that
of
was the
COVID,
beginning of Phase 5.
COVID.
Oh, okay. Because I always thought that was the beginning of Phase 5.
Yeah, no, it was Quantumania was supposed to come out initial slot. Like you can go all the way back and look at the
Oh, so
Phase 4
initially it
thing.
was supposed to be the end of Phase 4.
Yes.
So they probably just changed it, like you said, because of COVID. Because when I saw Ant-Man, I was like, you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of this, but as a start to Phase 5, I feel better than I did about Phase 4. I was like, yes, there's some video gamey graphics, but I think this is a better start than Phase 4 had.
And real talk, I don't know. I think I understand what people's problem with Ant-Man is because I kind of have it myself. Because every single thing with Ant-Man, the comics, the books, the movies, I'm like, I don't care. But when I watch it, I can't turn away. Not because
I
it's a train
think
wreck,
it's
but because I'm
definitely
genuinely
entertaining for
enjoying
me.
it. Yeah, I mean it's good. It's not great.
But I got to give it to Jonathan Majors. He carries a lot emotionally in this one
Yes.
because I was like, man, if he's not good, this movie might suffer. And he came through. He, yo, you actually believed in him when you're like, oh man, it's still, oh man, somebody did him wrong and banished him. Then it's like, hold up, no, he's bad. like, man, they did him wrong. They bad. It's like, oh no, he's bad. I forgot, he's bad. So
Yeah.
but I think it's a good start. Is it my favorite movie? No, but I think this is a definite good start to phase 4. And I'll
Hey,
just
better than Eternals. And
oh boy. But yeah, I'm going to continue to refer to phase 4 as the rebuilding year of a sports team. It's like
yeah,
you got a couple picks, some decent rookies, but you don't have a coach. Or the rookies
well,
on paper are good, but they don't get along, so they don't play well. So you're
look,
kind of just
let's
kind of rebuilding, and you're gonna be bad for about 5 years before you start getting okay.
well see, here's the thing. Phase 4 wasn't bad.
Nah, it
I
wasn't
liked Phase
bad. It
4.
was too.
I liked Phase 4 a lot, but what most people consider Phase 4, they're looking in the wrong places. Okay? We were looking for the movies to be amazing, but the majority of Phase 4 happened on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Okay? Because take Eternals and Shang-Chi out of the equation. Just take it all out of the equation. And then you've got Loki. Oh, and Multiverse of Madness. Just throw all those away. Okay, throw everything that came out in the theaters in Phase 4 away. And what do you got? You got WandaVision, which was great setup for the next 5. You got Loki, a really in-depth look at what the multiverse is and the introduction to Kang. You also got Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was a good introduction to the new stuff that's happening on the government / street level. Then you've got the introduction of new heroes in Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, and Hawkeye. And people keep sleeping on Hawkeye.
No, I thought it was all right. That's
That's
why, like for me, like I said, it's like those rebuilding years. You got some good guys, like they don't really play together well, but they it's like you got some good rookies. You got a couple, couple first round picks. Because for me, phase 4 is like maybe a disappointing mixed bag. Because there's good stuff in there. I like Hawkeye. Hawkeye was kind of slow for me, but I did like it. I like Miss Marvel. I like Loki. I probably could have cut an episode off or maybe changed the episode or two, but I did like it. But then you have stuff like Eternals, Shang-Chi. I thought was a missed opportunity.
Major.
Shang-Chi was just
a major missed opportunity. It didn't know what lane it wanted to be in, so it chose the lane of millennials. Like it was the
it's also it had Awkwafina, and I was already not feeling her. So
yeah, seriously. But that was a movie that was essentially written about Xennials by boomers. Because and you can tell the people. I was talking with Leo about this morning. Okay, China hated Shang-Chi. Not because he was a slacker white kid that just happened to be Chinese and lived in San Francisco, but in Shang-Chi, he wasn't just the master of Kung Fu. He was closer to James Bond.
Okay.
He had gadgets. He was doing the International Man of Mystery thing. People thought he was sexy. He was very much like a heartthrob. He was essentially Marvel's answer to the Chinese James Bond. To Marvel's direct middle finger to the Yellow Peril. Okay, and he didn't get any of that in this movie. He didn't get a love interest, which every Marvel superhero except him got. I mean, man, even Miss Marvel got a love interest.
Yeah, she got 2 dudes that want her. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and she's a kid.
She got She got MK from Into the Badlands, and
Uh-huh.
she got the dude that
Oh,
was like
she's
her
got
classmate
Gadget.
or whatever.
Yeah, she's got Gadget Boy and Robin.
Gadget
both
Boy.
both trying to holla. You know.
But yeah, it and for me, the biggest missed opportunity is this is supposed to be the kung fu guy. All right.
Yeah. Even
Supposed to
more
be the
so than
kung fu
freaking
guy.
Iron Fist.
And after all of the Asian cinema that we have seen throughout the 90s and up until now, shoot, everything since the 70s up until now, you have enough directors, stuntmen, choreographers to really make this thing sing. And what did you do? Basic fights. Basic, ultra basic.
I'm not gonna go that far. I thought the fight scenes were cool.
Maybe it's because as a super action guy, I've seen so much that I was like, man, they could really, because I'm like, oh man, after seeing, all of the stuff from like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, Michelle Yeoh, like all of these people, Sammo Hung, all these people, the Bruce Lee stuff. I'm like, yo, they have so much. Oh, this movie's going with Marvel money. Oh man, this is going to be crazy. And then I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Now again,
right.
I thought the fight scenes were fine.
Yeah, they were okay. I wanted to be blown away.
Yeah, the forest stuff was very Crouching Tiger, or what was the other one? House of Flying Daggers. It had that feel. And I'm fine with that. The bus fight was the shit. I don't care what I will die on this hill. That bus fight was amazing. It was very Jackie Chan. As was the scaffolding fight. Very Jackie Chan. And I think that is where your problem comes in, where when you watch Ip Man, you're watching Donnie Yen being signature Donnie Yen with a signature style, specifically Wing Chun.
Yeah.
When you're watching Jackie Chan, you're watching Jackie Chan do his take on Kung Fu, which is get the hell out.
Yeah.
When you're watching Jet Li, you got Jet Li being the king of flashy.
And very forceful.
Yeah. But Shang-Chi, what was his language? Like, what was his style?
It was, you know what? The movie is so referential that it doesn't allow Shang-Chi to have his own thing.
It's a cover band.
They're so they're so busy trying to be like, hey, do you know this stuff from? It's like, yeah, we know this stuff, and it was better in that. He's like, hey, do you know this stuff? Yes, we know that stuff too, because we're fans of Asian cinema, and we like, there were better stuff. Like, yo, I lived in Suncoast. I remember those days. I remember those days. When all, like, every now and then you get something new in Movie Time or something like that, because Movie Time was like a little bit better than Blockbuster when it came to like foreign stuff, and you were like, oh, look, there's this dude named Jet Li. Oh, he's mad sweet. Like, it would have just, you're right, he didn't have a language of his own as a fighter.
Yeah, and it tried to make him Jackie Chan and then evolve into Jet Li, and they totally skipped Chow Yun Fat. They totally skipped Chow Yun Fat because he wasn't using guns. So,
they didn't. I guess they knew better than to try something for Bruce Lee, even though you have and thank God we have a season 3 finally announced. But we have Warrior coming, and like. That's another thing. I'm like, yo, they can call the people from Warrior. They can call people from The Raid. This movie can be awesome. So I'm thinking, like, fight scenes. I'm like, this is going to be the movie with the best fight scenes out of all Marvel. Like, I in my head, I knew I was going to be like super impressed. Like,
but Marvel,
like Jet Li has this movie called Fist of Legend. Like, the opening sequence, man. I'm like, yo, Shang-Chi's going to be crazy, and it wasn't really crazy.
But yeah,
it was
that's the whole thing. Like, you can't have Jet Li's wire work, or you can have Jet Li's wire work. You can have Jackie Chan's running away while beating
Like
people with whatever he can
parkourish
get his
kung
hand on.
fu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have Donnie Yen's serious, confident, stand your ground style.
Yeah.
Okay, but we haven't given one to Shang-Chi. Like, what is his bag? And
Yeah, you're
that's
right.
exactly it. Like, all the fight scenes were derivative and they were very well done. They just weren't
Yeah,
signature.
they were all like solid C pluses.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
see, if I
well,
had never seen those movies before in the 90s, I probably would have gave them B pluses.
honestly, I would give them B pluses anyway. Because I saw those movies um from the 90s all the way up until 2022. Um but there's still a chance for them to do their own thing. If they got a fight choreographer that gave him his own language, because the question is, how brutal can't they be? Because on one level, they could try and do the really good choreographed fight scenes with good wire work and all that stuff, but Donnie Yen's speed, Jackie Chan's agility, Sammo Hung's power, Jet Li's wire work, what's left? What's left for him to do on his own? I don't know that because I'm not as good a choreographer, but they need to find a choreographer and a director that'll do that. Instead of paying homage to the greats, show that this actor is great, because he's a good actor.
Yeah.
And he played the crap out of that role as actor. Okay, even though the role was crap, he played the crap out of it as an actor. And we saw the wire work and stuff, or the Michelle Yeoh level of wire work when Michelle Yeoh hit the movie.
Mhm. But then
But
they
yeah,
did
what
the
we
silly
didn't
thing
see.
of Aquafina like learning how to be an archer in one day and making the killing shot, and oh god. And then the dad, which I really love the
Yeah,
dynamic between the father and the son and daughter. I really would have
yeah,
loved if he was maybe
and
on life
bro,
support but
yeah,
still
the
alive.
daughter,
Like Tony
the
Leung
daughter,
is a
she was the
dope
one that had
actor.
all the good fight scenes and a
Yeah,
signature
you're right.
style.
She
You know,
did have a signature style of her own. You're right.
you know. But yeah, Shang-Chi was played very. I haven't figured out what to do with my life. My parent wants it. They tried to play him as a character, which would be fine if he didn't have 50 years of other material that shows that he's not fresh off the boat. He's a loud and
Yeah,
proud
you're right.
Chinese national, you know? Um,
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it's also the period of his life that we step in on. That's the
yeah,
problem.
yeah. The again, the millennial late 20s, early 30s, um, having the education and all that stuff, but not knowing what to do with their lives. Like, essentially, the reason Aquafina was there was she was reflective of the audience. She was the everyman or the every Asian person character in that movie.
Hmm.
And again, China hated it. That's why
I'm,
it made
I
such
wouldn't
little
be
money.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
You know, I mean, that's the realness of it. He wasn't a character as much as he was a plot device. And you can blame that on the writers, because serious talk, weighing him against his auntie and his father, bruh. I'm
Yeah.
like, give me a prequel. I want to know more about this,
Yeah, the
because
father, I was like, man, they killed the father. I think that was a bad move.
the father, but he was using Hungar, which is where those rings come from, number one. And the mother was using Tai Chi, I believe.
Yeah, it seemed more of a Tai Chi type style.
And that push and pull between those two would have been great. Okay. And the fight choreographer didn't give Shang-Chi enough of a synthesis between the parents. He's a lot like they tried to write him like Jin from Tekken.
Ah.
Seriously.
Wow.
This
You
really
know what?
was,
I could kind of see that. I could kind of see that.
yeah, this really was sort of a Gen versus fuck,
Well,
who was,
Hachi.
no, Heihachi is the grandfather. He's just
Oh,
evil.
you're right. You're right.
No,
That is his grandfather.
Kazuya. Yeah, this was Gen versus Katsuya, and this was, and they could have done that, but, but, we didn't get a chance to bond with Katsuya, nor did we get a lot of stuff on June. And when we're watching the movie, and now see everything I'm talking about, we've seen all of it before, and it wasn't signature. His fighting styles, synthesis of all those famous people, his story straight out of Tekken, and it didn't have that thing that made it Shang-Chi.
Wow. Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
it? And so,
Yeah, 'cause
real
it's-
talk, that was like, I wasn't mad at Shang-Chi. I just wasn't blown away. But I give it a B plus because I wasn't expecting to be blown away.
Yeah, I think
Because,
that might have hurt me expecting it.
oh yeah, and
Because I
that's
was
what,
thinking of all the great Asian cinema as far as action goes, and thinking, take all of the cool things that I've seen through my childhood up until now, and then add a Disney budget. Oh, this is going to be crazy.
and never forget, you still had recency bias. Okay. The reason phase 4 was destined to fail, and Feige is smart enough to know that it was.
Destined to fail.
It was
it's
destined to
messed up.
fail in the theaters. That's why they barely paid any attention to what they did in the theaters and put all their attention into the streaming shows, because
Destined to fail.
they were, and this is why. 90% of the people that went to the movies to see what was the first one that came out after Black Widow? I'm not sure if it was Shang-Chi.
Then it was Eternals. What was
I think it was
Black Widow,
Eternals.
then Eternals?
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Whoever went to the theaters to watch the movies that happened chronologically. No, it was No Way Home. It was No Way Home. No Way Home was the first one out after Black Widow. I'm doing this from memory. I could look it up, but
Yeah,
but
Phase
the thing-
4, you had Black Widow, then Shang-Chi came after Black Widow.
okay.
Then
Yeah,
it was
no.
Eternals.
Okay. And then it was
Then No Way Home.
No Way
Dad,
Home and Multiverse.
All those movies dropped in 2021. Dad, what?
Yeah.
It seems like they were spread out a little more than that.
It
Well, I
was
mean, they were probably
COVID.
spread
Time
out.
slowed down.
Yeah, I forgot the 20 years of 2020. So yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest thing on that is all the people that went to see anything. I'm not putting Black Widow up there because that was released out of order.
True,
But all of the
true.
stuff that chronologically happened after Endgame, people went expecting the same escalation that they had gotten for the past 15 years. And it was like, nah, son, this is that story climaxed. All those movies were building to that one story. That story is over. Now we're at chapter 1 of a new series. And people still expected that old series. And
Well,
that's really what it was.
I'd say this for me. I'd say that the chapter 1 of the old series was better than the chapter 1 of this series. And I think
it was okay. Actually, I can't say we're at chapter 1 of the new series. We were actually at chapter 5 of the new series, not realizing that we're looking at a new series. Because WandaVision was chapter 1 of the new series. That's the thing that really introduced the multiverse. And then Loki expanded on it.
yeah.
And then we had to introduce new characters that had to go into the multiverse. So we're looking at a new character in a story that's new that we did not realize was a new story. And people were expecting higher escalation from the last story. And that's what soured them.
Yeah, I think
I'll die on that
I think
hill.
a lot of people, because see me, I knew that we had to kind of go back to ground and stuff, but I think for me, when they went back to ground, we didn't. Even till now, well, outside of the couple statements that we're starting to get in what's his name in Secret Invasion, I'm
Mhm.
like, are we gonna deal with the snap at all? Like I feel like we've kind of like lightly touched on that. Like if you read
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm like, I don't think we're really dealing with the implications of
Oh, we
the
weren't.
snap and how society and how the heroes are dealing with it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we're dealing with it. We're just kind of like going on and making new stories, which is cool. But even like the stuff in Eternals, I'm like, so there's a huge hand coming out of the earth, right? And like nobody's talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
Phase 4
I'll
seems
be.
like it almost seems
Yeah.
like on the business side, we're so busy trying to get to the next Avengers that we're not really letting our characters deal with what happened to them. We got light dustings of like what happened, but it seems like on a business side, they were more interested in like, look, the snap happened, don't worry about it, let's keep going. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I think there's a lot of good story to tell here, and I feel like y'all are just skipping it, for the sake of skipping it, and I
Yeah.
don't
The
think
giant hand coming out of the ocean. Like it wasn't touched on at all in Wakanda Forever. And it's like, hold up. Namor, what happened? What was up with that snap, bro? It was barely touched on in Spider-Man. Because I'm like, okay, half of the population left. So are they in the same grade? Have their classmates like graduated? Like let's ask some of those questions real quick. And also there's the like it was briefly touched on in Ant-Man, but yeah, the only thing that really went in depth about the snap years were Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye. Like those two things were big. But yeah, they haven't really touched on it a lot. So that opens up a whole lot of unanswered questions. So Phase 4 had a lot of weight to carry. Phase 1, I'm not gonna like, how can I put this? I like a lot of the shows in Phase 4 as much as I liked a lot of the movies in Phase 1. I think Moon Knight was at least as good as Thor or Iron Man 1. Definitely better than Iron Man 2. Seriously. Same with Ms. Marvel. I think Ms. Marvel was just as good as Thor or Iron Man 2. Let me think. If I recall, Phase 1 was Iron Man 1, Captain America, Iron Man 2. Oh, wait, the Hulk? Yeah, it was Iron Man 1, the Hulk, Iron Man 2, Captain America, Thor the Dark World, and then the Avengers. I think that was Phase 1.
Yeah, pretty sure. There might have if that wasn't Phase 1, it was like Phase 1 and a piece of Phase 2. Let's see, Phase 1, what do they say? Yeah, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, First Avenger, then Avengers. So that was Phase 1. Yeah, because Phase 1 didn't have the weight of Phase 1 through 3. Phase 1's job was to just prove itself. Yeah. Like Phase 1's job was
and
like,
to prove the concept.
Look, nobody really believes in you. No one really even believes in these movies in general. Can you be good?
Exactly. And Phase 2 was kind of rocky. It took me about 3 years to even tolerate Age of Ultron. And those were the years we got Thor the Dark World. But that was overshadowed by Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. Like that movie was so good, it carried a lot. Because that's when we got Iron Man 2, kind of lackluster. And let's see, yeah, we got Winter Soldier.
Or what? Iron Man 3, sorry. Iron Man 3.
Yeah, Dark World. And a couple of other things before we went to Age of Ultron. And I'm like, But Phase 3 knocked it out the park. That was where we got Civil War and the introduction of Spider-Man and the Black Panther. And Ant-Man, and no, Ant-Man was also in Phase 2. But that's when we got Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
We got more of, because I think Phase 2, a lot of the arguments, and I can kind of see where they come from. A lot of people's issues with Phase 2 was, it seemed a lot of those projects was like, all right, look, we just need to get to Infinity War.
Yeah.
So let's just make this stuff that this is just this is supplemental information instead of like making a full movie. It's really like, all right, cool, you're gonna need this stuff before we get to Infinity War, so just watch it.
Right. And Phase 3 came about, and it was
that's why so many people started looking at Age of Ultron in a better light after Phase 3 happened, because they were like, oh, okay, but it's like also because writers looked at Ultron and was like, you know what, Ultron's not particularly bad if you do this or if you add in this, kind of like Clone Wars does for the prequels.
Okay.
Like Clone Wars comes in and really helps out the prequels.
Well, Clone Wars was literally written to come in and clean up a mess. So so now we're moving into Phase 4. Now we've got the Multiverse of Madness and the Kang Dynasty to build up for, but we got to introduce a new big bad that'll make people like a new big bad that people won't unfavorably compare to Thanos. So he's got to be a different flavor.
Yeah.
And we've got to introduce a buttload of new characters. And that's why we got Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, and the Eternals. Where they and the building of the Young Avengers. It's carrying a lot.
Well, I don't know if we're really building them. It seems like they're still on the fence of whether they're going to do Young Avengers or not.
No. I mean, they've introduced all of them at this point.
I mean, they have, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It just feels like a trigger shy issue of maybe they don't. I don't know. It just seems like they're kind of trigger shy about the Young Avengers. When
I think they're trying to figure out a story, because who can their big bad be?
Well, I mean,
they've introduced all of them into the Marvel Universe except for Miles, and that essentially is coming at the end of the Spider-Verse trilogy.
But see, the thing is, I don't think they need a big bad. I think their first big job could be kind of stepping in and assisting. Similar, like, I remember, I don't know if you were on the show. I think you were on the show, but I was like, I know Keith from Blurtish was there, but I was like, this could have been an easy, maybe a half-day shoot where they throw it in at the end of Hawkeye, where it's basically, what's his name? New Cap, Falcon Cap comes to him and is like, hey man, look, this stuff just happened in my show or whatever. Well, not saying his show, but like basically all this stuff is happening. I know we're picking up the pieces, but we miss some members and we ain't getting no younger. And then being like, look, we gotta figure out a way to recruit some people. And then him saying like, well, hey, I got this girl right here and she definitely needs some direction. And then them being like, just leave it at that, because Hawkeye, he's already good at being a dad. He got like 10 kids. Yeah. So now Hawkeye can be the dad of the new Avengers.
Yeah.
And Falcon Cap can kind of like help, usher in new recruits. And there we go. Basically being like, look, we've lost members with this whole snap thing. We don't know how in the world we're going to protect people. We don't know where Nick is. You can solve all of this in like a 5-minute scene. You can solve all of these things just in a statement from them going back and forth like, yeah, man, I don't know. Where is Nick? I don't know. And
I'm not disagreeing
and
with
then
you.
Him being like, look.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But if they're going to get their own movie, they need an antagonist. And if the antagonist for A Next has got to be one of two things: either a lower tier Avengers level threat that can come back and fight the big boys later, or a character that Marvel audiences haven't seen before. Now, I know who they could kind of bring in, but it would be a tough one. Okay, and that would be Zola. they could bring the next A next against Armin Zola, because he was
Okay.
already introduced. Red Skull is a cap level threat, which leads to the Avengers level threats. But Zola, yeah, that's higher than street level, but smaller than galactic or smaller than national. You know what I mean?
All right.
And because man, did they screw up Modoc. But
Because see, in my opinion, since they're so young, they can kind of slide without a major villain right now. And basically their biggest challenge being, can you work together and can you actually support us? Like, can you work together and can you carry your weight? And that
yeah,
can be
but
their cross to bear for
but
now. And then
I
after we pass maybe the first Avengers movie, then they can have somebody who is like, oh, we know something that the older people don't know, and maybe similar like Young Justice. Oh yeah, yeah. Look, we can handle this on our own. And then it's like, oh no, what's the light?
no, I get that. I get where you're going, but the question is, hold your own or support us against what? That's the big thing.
I guess Kang
Um,
and his Kangites. I don't know.
no, Kang is too big. Yeah, the Kang dynasty is too big. It's just too big and too dangerous. Because that's the next. That is the upcoming Avengers level threat. But I don't know.
But they
Maybe a
will need all
lesser.
hands on deck. So I mean, I figure have them come in.
Yeah, but to
But I guess
show
I
the.
do also see the
Yeah,
side of you're not ready for this, kid.
yeah. You know. And it's got to be a you're not ready for this kid against something that the audience will buy. Um, that's the reason I'm bringing up Zola. The Mandarin has already been killed. Um, because the ones that you can't put them against, okay, you cannot put a next against because they are so green. Because who do we got in a next? We got Miles is the last linchpin because they're not going to put Peter on. They're
No.
using Spider-Man for what Spider-Man was always good at, which is solo stuff, and then he gets sucked in to the world-ending events. All right,
Yeah.
that's what he does. But um you've got the new Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel, the new Captain America or Captain America's apprentice, who
I
was
mean, we have seen Isaiah. He didn't seem we didn't like
I'm,
lay enough breadcrumbs, but we have seen Isaiah. So you're right.
I'm talking Isaiah's grandson, the one who was answering the door.
Yeah, Isaiah Bradley,
Yeah.
right? He's
Um,
the or is
Isaiah's the old man. That was Paul Ludlum,
I
but
thought I thought the I thought
the young one,
I thought the
well,
young one's name was Isaiah too, but I could be wrong. Sorry, I
might
apologize.
be. Yeah. But yeah, so we've got those three. We've got America,
Yeah,
and we might be getting um we might be getting Pagan and Speed, depending
yeah,
on
those are
what's going
those are
on
in
with
the
the
air. So yeah.
multiverse. Yeah, depending on what's going on with the multiverse in the next Doctor Strange movie.
So
Okay.
yeah, so that's six people already, and with Miles, that's seven. So that's enough.
Yeah, that's an Avengers team.
Oh, forgot Riri. Riri's out there.
Oh
So
yeah, I
that's
forgot
eight.
about Riri.
So
Yeah,
that's eight.
yeah. So we
So
got
that's a
that.
solid team.
Yeah, that is a super solid team. But unless they're all getting their shows on Disney Plus, which I know Miss Marvel is going to be in the Marvels.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't know who else is getting any exposure. When they come together, they got to come together for a reason. Our Avengers came together over Loki, and
Oh,
they yep.
forgot Ant-Man's daughter because she's already
Oh
doing
yeah, Kate.
activist.
Oh
She's
no,
already
that's
doing activist type
yeah,
stuff or whatever.
exactly. So we've got a next. We've introduced all of them, but we need a reason for them to get together that isn't Kang.
Yeah. And then on the
You know?
Captain America side, we haven't seen him do anything for us to believe unless they're going to fast forward and do some hand wavy thing like, oh, yeah, he was already sweet. Don't ask. And
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Isaiah's boy was brought in under Steve and he got the shield training and all that jazz. So that might be a thing. I don't know.
but yeah,
And then
we got a solid team of what, like 8 or 9 people.
yeah,
So we're good. I think, yeah, I could be down with them maybe use. Well, see, the only thing is, what's her name? Cassie. What's the girl's name? What's Ant-Man's
Cassie for
daughter's name?
Ant-Man. Yeah, Cassie.
Yeah, maybe. See, we've missed the opportunity for Cassie and Kate to meet, but at the same time, Hawkeye and Ant-Man were never super duper cool. So I guess. Well, I mean, look, they saved the world together, man. They close now. They're basically brothers. No,
And real talk, the only person that Hawkeye was super duper close with was Nat.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and Yelena. I forgot about Yelena.
Yeah, but I wouldn't consider her for the.
Well, no, she's gonna be on the T-bolts. And real talk, that's who you can put A next against.
Yeah,
Or the T-bolts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
but I could, for Cassie and Kate to get together, see how they are. They've had way too many opportunities to be like, all right, cool. It only take a day for us to shoot this, and it takes no special effects because they can just be on the phone or be in a room together. There's been too many easy. You know what? Jason always says it. Jason says Marvel's biggest problem is instead of doing the easy thing, they always try to do the clever thing, and they end up having to try to clean it up in the next movie.
Well said. Very well said.
Cause I'm like, yo, they could have had a quick scene at the end of Hawkeye with Falcon showing up, being like, "Look, man, we ain't getting no younger."
Oh, you mean like a post-credit scenes, like how Nick Fury introduced the Avengers Initiative?
Yep.
Yeah. And that
dunk.
really would have been a good thing for the initiative, because I wanted to comment on your talk about Nick Fury, because I watched the first episode and I'm like, yeah, I can see why it looks like people aren't putting respect on Nick Fury's name, but that's literally just the spy game.
Man, they better respect that, man. I don't like it.
In truth,
I'll be like, I don't like it. I've done too much work.
In truth, they respect and fear him. Now, I didn't mind the "Are you ready for this?" question coming from Maria Hill, because I've read the comics, and Kobe Smulders is my girl. Don't get me wrong, but the Maria Hill character was always like, if you go all the way back to the first Avengers movie, she was undermining him, when he pulled out the cards, and she was like, tell him the truth, huh? Yeah, I see what you're doing. And he's like, hey, they needed a push. Like, don't question me. I've been doing this longer than you've been alive, girl. But everybody else in that show, like the Russian lady with the British accent from Mitchell and Webb, those two were having banter. That is spy banter, because spying is like being in a gang. Everybody knows that you always got to keep an eye on the old dude, because they lived long enough to get old in that line of business.
Yeah.
So
they got a couple tricks here and there.
Yeah, they got more than a couple. Again, they lived to be old in a business where you could die at any nanosecond. And it's like, yeah, no, Nick Fury's been doing this for a lifetime. Oh crap. So that was really a big thing. And when you talked about you wouldn't trust no little girl playing with the ball at night,
yeah, I don't trust
all
that.
I could think was Men in Black.
Oh snap. Yeah.
Just like, look, man, it's like 10 o'clock at night. That little girl's out. Why is that? And she's reading a physics book. That's suspicious.
Yeah, it's like that. I think you said that book is way too advanced for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Anyway,
and that whole thing of like, my men wouldn't have caught you. It's like, I let your guys catch me to bring me to you. And real talk, you saw that in his eye. When he was looking at Talos, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna take a walk. Knowing, yeah, I'm gonna take a walk. I'm gonna get captured, and they're gonna take me to who I need to talk to. Yeah,
because I guess he figured, hey, if I get captured by the Skrulls, they'll take me to see Gravik, or if I get captured by MS6, they'll take me to see Old Girl. Either way, I'm gonna go see who I need to see.
Yeah. So I just got to get captured. All right, cool. Besides, villains do this all the time anyway. You know. So yeah, I mean that was, and I'm like, no, I see what he's doing. I see what he's doing. I've watched enough spy thrillers. You know,
I just don't like it. I don't like the disrespect. All right, I don't like it.
The disrespect is all part of the game. You know, I'm betting that by episode 3, they're going to be like, dude, you know who you're messing with. This is Nick Fury. Yeah, but you just said he was blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, he is old. He has been a super spy. And his midlife crisis was forming the Avengers.
With our technology, because after I put the video up, I started thinking, with our technology and also a quick call to Doctor Strange, I think that limp is fake. I don't think that's a real limp.
Yeah, exactly.
He's doing that
exactly.
In like episode 3 or 4, we're gonna see this dude like straight judo somebody down, and we're gonna be like, hold up, we thought you was old, but like, nah, got that old man strength.
Right? I mean, notice how when he got up at old girl's house, he made sure to do the old man, my knees are going bad grunt.
Oh yeah, he was like, hey.
yeah, I guess I'll get out of here.
Oh man, I make that sound now because there was this comedian that was like making fun of old man. He's like, you ever heard an old man get up and be like, hey?
Hey, you know what? I make that noise anyway.
Oh man,
but he was really playing it up.
Noise just because it's funny to me.
Yeah, so like real talk, he was playing up that whole thing. And so I see where they're kind of going with this whole thing, unless they make him a Skrull. That too is possible. And you know, I think Martin Freeman gets way too much shade. I really do. Because I don't like to think that he's bad. I just like to think that the people that they put him against are better. That's all.
Now after seeing what Ross was, I think Ross has probably been dead for a long time.
I don't know. Well, the whole thing, if they go with the comics, with Secret Invasion in the comic book, they hold, and they showed you this in the take his face, now take his memory scene.
Yeah.
They tend to hold the people whose form that they take on ice somewhere so that they can keep going and recharging. That's like the Skrull thing.
Oh, so they don't, because I'm assuming, you know, like, yeah, I saw that scene, but I'm thinking they took his memories long ago. They don't need those things no more. But if it's a situation where they need to recharge memories, I guess so.
Yeah, like Parasite from Superman, you know? Because, yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Because I was watching Wakanda Forever, and I see the colonialism. I see, you know, I saw a lot of the stuff that they were doing in that movie. And I'm like, okay, they're setting up for the Thunderbolts. It's probably Hydra. Either the Thunderbolts or Hammer. It's one of those two. And all right, they're doing that whole thing, and Ross is woefully incompetent. You know, and I'm like,
how did you get this job again?
Seriously, because it's like, what? I bugged your phone. I'm like, you didn't see that coming. I'm like, this is your ex-wife. Your ex-wife is a super spy.
So
you know,
you can't trust this girl.
Yeah, probably why y'all ain't married no more.
Thank you.